I'll bet you didn't know that if you make custody hearings and divorce proceedings 50-50 to start, you actually reduce divorce by 25%. At least that's the example we have from Kentucky. Now, of course, the Wall Street Journal tried to paint this in a bad light. They said a law setting 50-50 shared custody as state standard is hailed as a victory for fathers, but critics say it puts mothers and children at risk. 50-50 custody to start the proceedings puts children at risk.
So this particular topic on child custody has been making the rounds on the Manosphere, and I think it would be in my best interest to cover it simply because I would love to encourage men to have more opportunities and more time with their kids. And Kentucky in the U.S. apparently passed a new law in 2018, and it has been having an effect apparently on the divorce rates. If you haven't seen it, let's get into this, my friends, because I'm hoping laws like this would be universal around the world.
Divorce rates are dropping in Kentucky. I went there to figure out why. In 2018, Kentucky became the first state to make 50-50 shared custody the default. That means that children split their time equally between both parents, and fathers pay less in child support the more time that they spend with their children. Before that, judges decided custody based on what they called the best interest of the child. Fathers said that usually relegated them to an every other weekend arrangement, the so-called Disneyland dad effect.
It blows my mind that even though all the studies out there shows that time spent with a single mother doesn't necessarily works in the favor of the child.
Girls with no fathers in the home have lower self-esteem. Okay, fine, that sucks, but also, women with low self-esteem are more promiscuous. No father families more likely to be victims of abuse, especially with single mothers. The more opportunities a child has to interact with the biological father, the less likely they are to commit a crime or have contact with the juvenile justice system. Okay, another way to say that is men and women who are incarcerated, the population of the prisons mostly encompass fatherless homes. Now, here's something that no one else has mentioned, which I think is cool, and I don't really say this eloquently. If a man and wife raise a child, they're less likely to end up in jail, but they have the same statistical chance as children raised by just their father. So if we want to keep children, adults, out of prison, mother, father, or just father. Well, we don't want to hear just father, so let's try to keep the families intact. I think that just seems better.
A male in the home, a male influence encourages much more discipline from the child. Fathers tend to be the disciplinarians, right? So this idea that it's in the best interest of the child just freaking blows my mind. But you know what? I jumped ahead. Let her finish. Let her finish. This particular video is from the Wall Street Journal, in case you haven't noticed.
While mothers got to spend most of the time with their children. Since the law passed, divorce rates have dropped. Between 2016 and 2023, divorces in the state fell 25%, compared to 18% nationwide. It's hailed as a victory for fathers' rights, but the story is more complicated. Some critics of the law say that people are staying in abusive marriages because they're afraid of leaving their children alone with a parent with a history of violence. One mom told me that her husband nearly killed her in 2023. She filed criminal charges and he was arrested, but less than 2 weeks after he got out of jail, a judge awarded him 50% custody of his son, indicating that the abuse wasn't a factor because he didn't lay hands on the child.
We're not going to just brush over that. The father never laid hands on the child. That means he was not so-called abusive to the child. And more than likely, the mother was the abuser who was being challenged. Apparently, women being abusers is not a big thing. If the man retaliates, he is the abuser. So if all the evidence point to the fact that the man was not an abuser to his child, why should he then be penalized for having his child? It's obviously he has a problem with the woman. And usually an abuser is an abuser, period. So her allegation clearly shows that she's full of shit. But in this article, it's always about what the woman says, isn't it? Wow.
The law has become a model for other states. Arkansas, West Virginia, Florida, and Missouri have passed their own versions of the equal custody presumption. Around 20 other states are considering it.
Oh, this is beautiful news. Beautiful news. Now listen, I always understood that that a woman got primary custody simply for the fact that she usually worked less hours and she was not the primary breadwinner. Therefore, she had more time to spend with the child, right? And if the child is young, child needed more nurturing from the mother. So I tend to agree that, hey, if you guys can't make it together, then at least it was kind of fair that the mother would have more time with the child. It's almost like putting the man out to work and the mother almost staying home. It's almost like forcing the couple to go back to the way it was. But in these cases, the woman was happy to stay at home and take care of the child. The whole feminist rhetoric, of course, no one talks about the fact that, oh, the woman wants the opportunity to work. But it never considered what happens when a child comes into the equation. Now all we do is just farm the kids out to daycare. The mother goes to work, father goes to work, and then the child goes to daycare and they pick them up at the end of the day. So don't we realize what we've done to the family structure? I mean, it's just ridiculous when you hear stories like this that brings it back home to roost. The fact that when two couples actually separate, the mother don't have a lot of time to actually now go into the workplace because she has a child to take care of. She has a primary breadwinner. But instead, the man now has to pay her to take care of the child. However, a lot of women have been abusing that privilege, and that's why they had no problems breaking up their marriage. But let's hear what some of these women will say.
Why a 50-50 split of custody isn't always best. In a lot of cases, child custody is split 50-50 between each parent. However, there are some cases in which this is not the best scenario. And in these cases, an uneven split is recommended because number one parent may not have the time to focus on the child. Number two, one of the parents is battling addiction. Number three, a parent is not taking their responsibilities seriously. Number four, a parent's work schedule might not allow it. And number five, one of the parents may want to relocate. Whatever the case may be, a judge will make a decision based on the best interests of the child.
Okay, this is the problem we have, that when you ladies have kids and you get married to a man and you want to freaking just pick the child up and take the child and you get money from the man and you think it's going to be simple, you take advantage of that situation. Now it's much more difficult. If you move out of state, you got to bring that child back next week, or depending on how the split is done per month over the monthly calendar year. Maybe you have him for 2 weeks and the father have him for 2 weeks. Or you have him 1 week, then the father, then the mother. I mean, it's a freaking nightmare when you have kids, man, and you want to split up. It's freaking difficult. So I actually like the fact that this whole 50-50 split makes life difficult for both parents. So that forces you to work your shit out.
So in Kentucky, the new legal default is to have 50-50 shared custody in cases of divorce or separation. So if divorce rates are going down, I can think of a number of reasons why that would be a positive thing. Maybe there's increased access to mental health care. Maybe there's more support for parental leave or childcare.
You mentioned before that divorce law has historically favored women. Why do you think there's been this shift in this other direction in Kentucky?
To be honest, I think that, like I said, it's this reaction to this perception that women tend to be favored, but it's also just not taking into account that if the divorce rate is going down, it might very well be because women are feeling increasingly disenfranchised in this political environment. And there is a real danger that the divorce rate is going down because it's harder for women to leave.
Work it out. Why would you have a child and think that, oh, this is just going to be an easy thing? The minute a child comes into the equation, that's when you guys should actually look at, hey, life is going to get serious and we got to commit 100%. 100% from each of us. There's no, oh, I want to leave because I'm not happy. No. You find your happiness wherever you need to find it. Don't depend on your husband to give you happiness. That's not how life works. All you ladies are just looking at your husband to make you happy. Men don't look at their wives to make them happy. They look at wives as a helpmate. They are responsible for their own happiness. No one is coming to save them. Life isn't about happiness. It's about survival. Remember that. Surviving. I have someone here to help me survive. The man says, I got someone here to help me survive. The woman chooses a man who is a protector and a provider. That doesn't mean that he provides 100%. It means that he provides 50%, so she don't have to pay a freaking 100%. But you both get to pass on your DNA. Both of you. That means you got a shared responsibility because you now own something together that you can never, ever rip apart. That's how you got to look at marriage, and that's how you got to look at when you have a child together. There is no perfect situation in this case. But every woman thinks that they should have this perfect scenario that suits their lifestyle so that they could be happy. Life is not about happiness.
Your ex wants 50-50 to not have to pay that much in child support. I said what I said. I know there's going to be people in my comments saying, what if they want the kid 50% time? Kudos. There are people out there that do want their kids 50% of the time. But there are some people out there who want their kid 50% of the time to not pay the child support that they would be required to pay if they did the real schedule that would be the best for the kids. Okay? There are people out there who have worked 60-hour weeks, who have a job that there's no way possible they could do a 50-50 schedule. Their friends and family will be doing the schedule. They will not be doing the schedule. They don't even have clothes or a bedroom, toys, nothing at their house, and they want a 50-50 schedule. Why? Because they want the discounted child support. You can disagree with me. I'm not saying it's everyone. I'm saying it's some of y'all. Some of y'all want 50-50 schedule to cut down on that child support. I said what I said. You know how I know this? I literally have clients who are divorcing people that say, please just put 50-50 on the paperwork and you can have the kid whenever you want. In writing on the old computer. They write it. So don't come for me. Come for the people that write that stupid shit. So
I don't understand why you think you're saying something profound. Why would either party want to pay more child support versus having the child with them? Even if it's not having the child there physically with them, everybody's looking to save freaking money. You're thinking that, oh, people shouldn't think like that. You shouldn't be thinking about paying less for your monthly expenses. Why? Why shouldn't I think like that? Why is it now that you women have this idea that the man should just give every freaking thing freely because he's a man? Or the woman, now that she's in that position where she needs to spend money for the child, much more money than if they had a house together, because 80 to 90% of the time, she's the one that done this dumb shit, broken up her home. Now she realized, oh, I got to pay rent again? And then I got to pay a separate light bill and a separate phone bill and a separate utility bill and a separate freaking everything? When before we had one house and we shared everything 50-50. Now I got to pay 100% on my own. And I got to pay for the child 50% of the time. So my expenses went from, $2,000 a month. Now I'm paying out $2,500 a month just on me alone. I am not able to even save a dime for my retirement or anything else. I can't do anything. I can't even go out for a nice meal. Sure, you don't want to freaking even pay another $50 a month for child support because you have nothing left over after you've paid for your existence on your own. But if you had stayed your damn ass in your house that you and your husband had created and then built together, you would have been able to handle it because everything, all those utilities would have been split down the middle. So yeah, both the father and the mother try their hardest to not pay out any more money than is absolutely necessary because everybody these days are living paycheck to paycheck. But all it takes is one stupid decision. I want a divorce. I'm not happy. Oh, you're not doing what I tell you. I have outgrown you. Oh, you don't listen to what I say. Oh, you're not a leader anymore. Oh, everything is bored. I'm bored. I'm going to just desert this because I know that I can get child support and I can get alimony and I can get all of my shit paid and I don't have to worry about shit. All I need to do is hold on to that child and get more money. Oh, man.
What if when you file for divorce, you knew that your spouse would get 50-50 custody? Would that affect your decision? Kentucky has a law where 50-50 is the default. Now, obviously, there are exceptions if there's, domestic violence or whatever, but the default is 50-50. So not like Detroit where the default is every other weekend. If you knew your ex was going to get the kids 50% of the time right off, would that affect your decision to file for divorce? Why or why not?
He's not saying anything new. Bottom line, my friends, is that I really hope that this becomes nationwide and other countries follow suit, because women are really taking advantage of the system. And if governments can start making it a lot harder for women to leave marriages on a whim based on their emotional state, we would probably start looking at men who would say, hey, you know what? Things are looking better. I will probably get married under these conditions. Because at the moment, men aren't getting married. So, ladies, if you want things to change, you're going to have to focus on getting these laws changed, because men are saying, you will not take advantage of my ass and I will not be getting screwed over in family court. It's as simple as that. Anyway, I just thought I would cover this because this is a males advocate channel and I cover all things that influence men, whether it's in relationship, marriages, money, health, etc. Okay? So my friends, like this video on the way out. Let's have a discussion in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys heard of any other laws in any other state that is doing the same thing. Okay? So until tomorrow, my friends, remember, whenever in doubt, always, always ask an older man. I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.